Hello everybody, welcome to my channel once again, Life Beyond Vision. My name is Diego, and as you guys can see in the title of this video, don't be like Diego. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys some advice so that you guys don't do what I did, right? Learn from my experiences, right? So let's get on with these stories. When I began to be visually impaired or blind, you can say, I would still want to walk with my headphones on, even though I didn't have the sight I used to, right? So now I wasn't using my cane at the time, and so I was basically limiting myself to the amount of information I was receiving. So I would be walking there in high school, I would still wear my headphones. A lot of times I would end up bumping into things, or maybe crossing a street where perhaps maybe I could have stopped and seen the car or something because I was wearing my headphones, right? And I could have listened to the auditory information that was coming my way, right? Again, I wasn't at the time too focused on my auditory information. I didn't really know how to use that much. I was still trying to rely on my vision. So that went on for some time. Now, when I was in college, I still continued to do this, right? So whenever I would walk from my apartment to campus, it was like a between 15 to 20 minute walk. I would use my headphones, and that was not the best idea because a lot of times, there's people on bikes, right? I wasn't really able to hear that many times, especially if they were behind me and they were just ringing, or they're, a lot of times if they're behind me, a lot of times they would say on your left, meaning they are on my left, so that I could either move to my right or just stay wherever I'm walking, right? So that would happen a lot. And so one of the reasons as to why I continued to use the headphones was because I would see people walk with their headphones, and I was like, I don't want to be bored from, walking from my apartment to the campus. Like, I want to put my headphones on too. And so I would do that. Now, during my sophomore year though, one day I was walking to campus and I had my headphones on, and I was about to cross a parking lot, right? And it was one of those parking lots where it has an entrance and it's like multiple floors, so like the cars come out of kind of like a garage, right? It was more like a parking garage, right? And so I had my cane out, but I was also listening to my headphones, right? They weren't too loud, but they were, pretty distracting. Now, I didn't see the car at all, didn't hear the car at all, and I guess the car didn't see me either. So the car ended up accelerating right when I was crossing, and it literally stopped. You heard the little screech of the wheels, and it literally stopped maybe 2 feet away from me, or maybe about 1.5 feet away from me. So that day, that moment, I actually did get scared. Like my whole soul jumped out of my body. I was like, oh my God, I was actually about to die. So the car honked at me, and yeah, it was my fault. And so after that moment, I took off my headphones, put them in my pocket, and I walked to class, and I stopped using my headphones. At one point, I remember I tried to just put one in my ear, but then I was like, no, that's just stupid. Let's just take it all off, walk, and enjoy, the environment, right? Enjoy what's going on around you. Being able to enjoy, nature, right? Like the wind, the birds, and all that stuff. So it became more enjoyable, and I actually began to enjoy my walks to campus and from campus. I really advise people, if you're using a cane, or even if you're, partially sighted, or have a limited sight, don't use your headphones. Try and keep that auditory information as best as possible. And for those who can see and have good vision, I would advise that you try and enjoy your walks without headphones. You should try and enjoy that moment of being able to walk and just observe and be able to take in what's going on around you, right? It's always good, and it's actually very important to know what's going on around you. So that's the first piece of advice. So moving along, next piece of advice is the crossing streets at the streetlights. Now, when I was a sophomore, junior, senior, and also during grad school, I lived in this one apartment. And whenever I had to go pay rent or go to talk to the landlord, or the company rather, I had to go to this one building. The building was across from the main street. It was the main street on campus called Green Street. And you had to cross the street, and there was no light to cross. There was only a stop sign for the little street, and then the main street had no light, so those cars just kept on going, right? Now, if I were to walk a block to my left, I could cross the traffic light there and then walk back. Or I could take a different route. It was a little bit longer, but I would have also been able to cross through a traffic light, right? Now, for whatever reason, I would always cross where there was no traffic light. And it wasn't until I was in counseling during my senior year in college, which I will make another video on counseling and mental health, that my counselor one day asked me, Diego, is there anything you do that puts you at risk of harm? And so I was thinking, like, I don't know, is she trying to talk about drinking? Because I'm like, I don't drink too much, like I go out, have fun, I do drink, but I don't black out all the time or really ever, except on my 21st birthday. But no, but I was trying to think, like, what activity do I do that I, put myself at risk? And I couldn't think of anything until then I thought about crossing that street. And I was like, you know what? For the last, granted this was my senior year when I was actually in counseling, I told her, you know what? For the last 3 years, I've been crossing this one street. And when I told her about it, like, she was like, not terrified, but she was like, yo, that's very dangerous. So I told her how, there was many times where, like, it could be gloomy out and I couldn't really see the cars unless they had the lights on, but a lot of times they didn't really have the headlights on. And so I would still try to cross, or sometimes I couldn't really hear the cars that well, but I would still try to cross through that street. And those eco-friendly cars, you can't really hear them sometimes. So, even those cars would sometimes pass and I wouldn't be able to hear them too well. And there were many times where I would tell her, like, I either crossed and the car either passed right in front of me or it actually stopped next to me. Or the worst one was when I would, like, finish crossing to the other side and the car like literally just like dashed right behind me, and like I literally felt like the wind, like just like that car didn't stop. Like if I would have walked a little slower, it would have probably like just ran me over. So I told her like how that kind of like gave me this sense of like just adrenaline. Like every time I was able to cross that street, I would always be like, yes, I did it, like. But at the same time, it was also kind of one of those things where like perhaps I had some pride in, like I really wanted to prove to myself that I could still cross that street for whatever reason. I was going through a lot of losses with my vision that, for me, I felt that was one thing that I was like, you know what? I can still cross the street. I can still cross the street. I can still see. I can still kind of use my vision. But no, like I realized then and there how stupid that was, right? Even she told me, have you told this to anybody, like a friend or your parents or your family? And I was like, no, of course not, because it's stupid, right? They would be mad. They would be like, yeah, well, why are you doing that? Why don't you just cross in this traffic light like, you're supposed to? And so after that conversation, I realized how stupid that was. And, I told myself, you know what? Even if I have to walk a block or two over, even if the route has to be a little longer, I have to be able to keep myself safe and cross in the street lights. Now, that's my piece of advice for you guys. Don't try to cross streets where there's no lights. If you have to go a block or two further to cross at a street light or at a stop sign, do so, because you never know. You can't really trust all the drivers, right? Not all of them are going to stop for you. Some of them may not even look at your cane. They might be looking at your face, and for whatever reason the cane just goes unseen. It has happened where sometimes they honk at me and then like they see my cane and they're like, oh, I'm so sorry, and that's even crossing that regular streets, right? So that would happen a lot. Sticking with this theme of crossing streets, I have this rule for myself now: when in doubt, wait it out. What do I mean by this? Well, as I mentioned in my other video, whenever I or a person who's blind crosses streets, we have to be paying attention to the traffic, right? So if the traffic on my left is going, that means I can walk. If the traffic in front of me is going, that means I shouldn't walk, right? When I came back to live here in Chicago after college, I would have to go downtown for a few things. And there's a few streets where either it'd be like 3 lanes of cars going, or sometimes it's even just 2 lanes, but there's just so much traffic that sometimes like it just stops, right? And it's hard to tell if it's like a red light, a green light, or like, should I walk, should I not walk? If there's people, sometimes people walk, but you can't really trust people. You can't really follow people because you never know, like they can see. So they can see if like the light's red or green, or if the car's really far, or if the car's like, gonna stop or whatnot. While, me, all I have really is the traffic light, or the traffic pattern. So there was maybe like 3 or 4 times that I ended up thinking, okay, the traffic is stopped. I don't hear any cars moving at all. I'm gonna start walking. And so I start walking, and then I'm in the middle of the street when all of a sudden the cars around me just start moving. And I'm like, holy shit, like what is going on? It turned out that I was crossing at a green light, but it just happened that there was so many cars and so much traffic that, all the cars were just stopped. They all just stopped because of traffic, not because there was a red light. And so I am in the middle of traffic, just crossing the street, minding my own thing. No. So that was pretty scary, and it happened to me at least 3 or 4 times. And so after that, I decided to just tell myself, you know what, Diego, when in doubt, wait it out. Just wait those extra 1 or 2 minutes that, it takes for the traffic lights to switch so that you could actually know what the pattern is, right? So there's my advice for you guys. When in doubt, wait it out. It's better to confirm yourself that the traffic pattern is actually what you think it is, rather than I don't hear any car movement, I'm just gonna cross, right? Well, that's the video I have for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed the stories and the advice, and I hope you guys take advantage of that and you are not like me. If you would like to share anything with me, please leave it in the comments below and I would gladly respond to you. Thank you for watching the video, and until next time.